Hello guys and welcome back to my sewing channel. If you're new here, you're welcome and I hope you all are doing well. So in today's video, I'm going to be showing you how to draft and sew this wide leg pants from start to finish. All right, with that said, let's go straight into the video. Okay, so I'm going to start by securing this pattern paper to my table. So next step, you need to take your ruler or your measuring tape and square off 2 inches top, at the top of the pattern paper. Okay, so once that is done, you're going to be starting your measurement from this line right there. So now you need to take your measuring tape and mark in your measurement from waist to hip point and place a mark right there. The next step is to mark your crotch point. Okay, next you need to mark your thigh point, which is the thigh line. Okay, you need to mark it. Next, you need to mark your knee point. Okay. And the final step is to mark the full length of the pants. Don't worry, you will add the hem allowance later. Just mark the full length of the pants. So right now, I'm going ahead to use my ruler to place in the line for the measurements. So right now, I'm going ahead to square off the front pattern from the back pattern. Okay, so moving on to the next step, I'm going to be adding 1 inch to my waist measurement for the dot allowance for the front pattern. So I went ahead and divide the pattern into two. So I'm going to be dividing my measurement between this line right here. So my measurement divided by 4 gave me 8 plus 1 inch, making it 9 inch for the waist, front waist measurement. So the waist measurement, I divided it equally, except for the hip measurement, the crotch measurement, and the thigh measurement. So for the hip, crotch, and thigh, I divided my measurement into 4, then minus 1.5 inches from it. So the 1.5 inches that I remove, I'm going to be adding into the back measurement. So I'm going to be showing that in the next video. So you take your measurement divided by 4. So for the front, you need to minus 1.5 inches or 1.5 inches from your measurement. So you want to make sure that whatever you remove from the back whatever you remove from the front measurement, you need to add it back to the back pattern. Okay, so to make sure you have your measurement correctly. So right now I'm going ahead to connect the crotch line to the hip point right there, to the hip measurement right there. So from the hip point, I'm going to be drawing a straight line going to the waist point, which is the waistline. Right here, I'm using a straight ruler to connect the hip line to the waist point, as you can see right there. Okay, so now I'm going to be working on the inseam part of the pattern. So I'm going to be connecting the tie point to the crotch point, as you can see right here, and I'm doing that using the curve ruler. So next, I'm going to be working on the side seam for the front pattern. So for the rest, I'm going to be so for the width of the pants, I'm going to be using my thigh measurement. So I'm going to be marking that on the knee point and also the bottom part of the pants. So I'm using my thigh measurement for the width of the pants. Okay, so now I'm going to be working on the back pattern. So for the waist part, I'm going to be adding 2 inches for the dot allowance. So instead of 8 inches, I'm going ahead to mark 10 inches for the waist measurement. And I'm starting the measurement from the side part of the pattern. So next, I'm going ahead to mark in my hip measurement, my crotch measurement, and the thigh. So remember the 1.5 inch I removed from the front pattern, I'm going ahead to add them to each measurement for the back pattern. So whatever you remove from the front, you need to add it to the back pattern. So that way you have your accurate measurement by the time you are done making the pattern. So doing the same thing, once I placed my measurement on the pattern, I went ahead and used the same measurement for my tie for the rest of the pants, which is the width of the pants. So right now I'm going ahead to mark in my dot allowance or the dot point right there, making sure to measure where I want the dot to end on the pants. So going in with my ruler, I'm going ahead to draw the line in. So for the front waistline, I'm going ahead to drop it by 1 inch. And again, doing the same thing, whatever you remove from the front, you need to make sure to add it to the back pattern. So I dropped my front waistline by 1 inch. So now I'm going ahead to raise the back waist point by 1 inch. So now that that is done, I'm going in with my ruler to draw in the new waistline for the front and the back. Again, whatever you remove from the front, you need to make sure to add it to the back pattern. So now I'm going to be working on the waistband. I'm going ahead to mark 1.5 inch on the pattern paper for the waistband. So I'm going to do the same thing on the back pattern as well. So right here, I'm going in to mark where I want the zipper to end on the front pattern. Separate the back pattern from the front. So next I'm adding in my hem allowance to the bottom part of the pattern. I used 2 inches for the hem allowance. I'm going to be folding it and taping the waist dot in place first before going in to cut out the waistband. As you can see right here, I'm going ahead to fold it up and next I'm going to place a tape on top to close it. like tape it in place. So now I'm going in with a ruler to correct the line. So you want to make sure to correct any crooked line that you have on the pattern before going ahead to cut it out. Okay, there you go. So now that that is done, I'm going to go ahead and remove the tape from the pants pattern so to open it up. So doing the same thing, I make sure to add the 2-inch hem allowance for the back pattern as well. So here you go. So this is the front and the back pattern in place. As you can see right there. So now, again, I'm going ahead to close the waist dot so that way I can draft the pocket for the pants. So for the opening, I'm using a 5.5 inch. I'm going ahead to mark 5.5 inch for the opening of the pocket. So I'm going ahead to mark the width of the pocket. I later reduced the width at the front, but not at the top, but not the bottom. So I'm just going ahead to make a little curve so that way you have a little curve going on the pocket instead of just straight and square. So for the top part, I'm going ahead to mark 1.5 inch. I'm going to connect that to the 5.5 inch point I marked on the pattern. So I went ahead and cut the lining also for the pocket. There you go. You should have one like this and another one, making sure everything matched correctly. Okay, so now I'm going to be cutting out the pattern on the fabric, and also you need to make sure to add in your seam allowance to the pattern. So I didn't add a seam allowance to the pattern because I plan on adding the seam allowance when cutting the pattern on the fabric. As you can see right here, make sure to add in my seam allowance as I'm cutting the pattern. So I use 1/2 inch seam allowance. So if you don't feel comfortable adding your seam allowance as you're cutting the pants, the fabric, you need to make sure to add it to the pattern first. So that will make it super easy to work with. And also when taking your measurements, you need to make sure to add in at least 2 inches to your measurement for ease. Okay. All right, so now we're going to be moving on to the fun part, which is putting this whole thing together. So the first thing I'm going to be doing, I'm going to be working with the back pattern. So I'm going to start by sewing the waist dot. So on the back pattern first before moving on to the next step. So here you go. This is the back waist dot. So next, I'm going ahead to sew the center seam for the back pattern. Okay, so moving on to the next step, I'm going to be working on the front part of the pants. But first and foremost, I'm going to be making the front zipper fly. So right here, I'm going ahead to fold this part of the fabric in half. So right here, I'm going ahead to mark 2 inches. So the fly measurement is width is 1.5 inch. So plus seam allowance, that makes it a total of 2 inches. Okay. Right there. So for this one, I'm going to be pinning and sewing the bottom part together. So next, I'm going to turn it inside out so for this one right here, I'm going to be cutting out a fusible interfacing. So as you can see, the next I'm going to go in with my iron and press it in place. Okay, so first thing first, I'm going to be securing the one with the fusible interfacing to the right side of the pants pattern. Just right there, making sure to mash it up. So I place it on the right side of the pants with the pants facing me, so which is the right side of it. So now I'm going ahead to sew it together using the 1/2 inch seam allowance. Okay, so now I'm going to be pinning down the zipper. So right here, I'm going ahead to sew it down. Making sure to take my time to do it correctly. Okay, so now I'm going to be attaching the other side of the zipper to the zipper fly facing the under fly. I think that's correct. So now that that is done, I'm going to be pinning the front pieces together. So I'm going to pin them together and sew it all the way to where the zipper end. Okay, so I'm going to secure this part first in place. So I went ahead and did that. So now that that is done, I'm going to be sewing the other side of the zipper fly to the other side of the front pattern. So I'm going to go ahead and pin and sew this in place. Please make sure to watch a video on how to properly make a front zipper fly, so that way you know exactly what you're doing. I'm still learning how to do the front zipper fly, so I can really explain details. I can really explain every detail. So please watch a different video, so that way you know how to properly sew the zipper fly. Here it is. Okay. All right, so moving on to the next step, I've already went ahead and cut out the pocket and the pocket lining. So here you go. So now I'm going to go ahead and stitch the pocket in place. So once you're done adding the pocket, the next step is to pin and sew the side seam of the pants together. So the front and the back seam together. So once you're done sewing the side seam together, the next step is to pin and sew the inseams together. Okay, so once that is done, the next step is to work on the waistband. So for that, you need to fold the fabric over just like I did in this video and cut the back waistband on fold. Okay, you need to cut 2 pieces for the back waistband. That will be for the lining and the main waistband. So for the front waistband, you need to cut 4 pieces for the front waistband. So once that is done, you need to go ahead and cut your fusible interfacing. So once that is done, you need to put the wrong side. You need to make sure that the wrong side of your main fabric is facing the sticky side of the fusible interfacing. So I went ahead and did that in all the pieces. So now it's time to join them together, starting by pinning the waistband together at the side using a 1/2 inch seam allowance. So I did the rest off camera. So now I'm going to take this to my sewing machine and sew the sides together. Next step now is to add in the lining for the waistband. So right here, I'm going ahead to place and pin down the lining for the waistband. So right here, I'm going ahead to sew it in place. So next, I'm going to do a top stitch on the lining part of the waistband. Okay, so next I'm going ahead to press in the seam allowance on the lining for the waistband. So after that, I'm going to be pinning it down to the pants. So I'm going to be sewing on the right side of the pants. So I'm going to be sewing along the right side of the pants right here, making sure to secure the waistband in place right there. So this is it right here, unsewn in place. So next I'm going ahead to finish off the back loop. So next I'm going in to hem the bottom part of the pants. And this is the inside. And also I add the button off camera. Here is the final result. Look at this. Perfect. I love it. All right, guys. So we've come to the end of today's video. As always, if you find this video helpful, please give it a big thumbs up and hit the subscribe button down below if you are new to my channel. Thank you all so much for watching. Thank you all for subscribing, and I'll see you all in my next video.